Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing this evening? I hope everyone is doing well. Tonight's episode is going to be what do you guys use to deter vermin from the garden? So, hold on. Yeah, so there's many different ways you can actually deter vermin from getting into your garden or if you're in the garden. So, we're going to go ahead and share some stuff, or some experiences here in the chat, and I'll put them up here on the screen of how different people, use different methods. For me, I use, basically a silenced air gun, and I shoot a piece of steel or an old saw blade to make a bunch of noise to try and get them out of the garden. No, I don't want to have to hurt them if I don't have to, but that is a last resort. So, it's pretty simple. I use the motion sensor lights to actually light up the garden, so I can see what it is, and I can determine, what is the action of the course. Wind chimes kind of work, but they get used to it. And you got the scarecrows, which will help some of the birds, but you got to go out there and you got to move the scarecrows daily because they get used to it. So you got to kind of like move them around. That I have noticed through experience. So, how many people do we have here in the chat this evening? Go ahead and chime in so you can see who's actually here in the chat today. I do know there are 6 people in there as of right now, 5 people. So, and we got Mr. Colin Kincaid is in the chat. And so I just don't know who's in the chat this evening. So, and this is also for other people to go ahead and read in the chat. Find out, what works, in their situation, what doesn't, through other experiences or any other ideas that other people have. I mean, like I said, I also have little snippets that you can get at what is it, the New Year's or New Year's Eve. You can go to the fireworks stand, get the little pop-its that are kind of loud, and you can also get them during the 4th of July celebrations. Hi Dan, how you doing? Hope you're holding up. Yeah, let's see. Do I have any near me? Let me get to around here. So, a couple examples is you also have these large poppets. Okay. All you have to do is throw them against the concrete and they give off a loud bang, enough to scare them away. Same thing with these torpedoes as well. So these are quite loud. I'm not going to do it here inside the house because it makes my ears ring when they go off. That's how loud they are. Yeah, all you have to do is just make some kind of a loud noise. Usually it discourages them and they chases them away. Okay, and Jenny and Ian are in the background. Mr. Dan is I'm lurking in the background. Yeah, like I said, I'm trying not to hurt them at first. You just want to discourage them, kind of harass them out of the garden first, if at all possible. I mean, like I said, with the rats, mice, squirrels, raccoons, skunks, armadillos, that kind of stuff. Just the vermin in general. I mean, with deer, just basically got to scare them. Usually they kind of run away. Bigger ones only. Yeah, but like I said, those you don't want to hit them. You just kind of want to scare them away. Another thing you can also use is airsoft. Little 6mm plastic BBs. They're usually around 12 to 20 grains. And you can actually hit them with that, and that'll it doesn't hurt them. It just startles them, and they end up running away. That's another way you can do that. Like I said, you can get those on most of your like Amazon, Pyramid Air Gun Depot. Yeah, and one thing is you also got to check your local laws. Some what was it municipalities do not allow that kind of stuff on inside the city limits. So yeah, please do check your local laws. Um, for those, you can if you cannot use um, an air gun or an airsoft, resort to these. These will actually fit through a big straw, and you can use them like the old school spit wads and hit something hard, and they'll detonate. Oh, and there's Tyler at HX Outdoors. Yeah, he's actually doing better than yesterday, so which is actually good because he sent me a message earlier today. Just creating something a loud noise, in the garden area that they're gonna be around. So I use these here, just some old saw blades. They're just some old saw blades. Well, they're made of metal, of course. Uh, and as you can see, they ring pretty good. Okay, just that alone. Hey, Johnny, how you doing? Yeah. So you can put these out at certain distances in the garden, different areas. You can hang them up on a decorative hook, and they'll actually ring pretty well. If you put it on a nail and it's up against a tree, it's just gonna do that. But if you can get it to ring, they don't like that. So you use the little ones for up close. Then you have the big ones for a little bit further away. Compared to these different sizes here, you got the 10-inch, the 7 1/4. So I would put these ones out further away. I have them in my yard. I have them on a nail with a spring behind it, so it doesn't get up against the tree or anything, and it keeps it ringing pretty good. So I know they also have motion sensor sprinklers, which actually do work for a while. You just got to keep moving them around, adjusting the sensor so they can sense the movement of the vermin in the yard. Fortunately, they don't detect mice and rats very well. They can barely pick up a squirrel. Now, squirrels, on the other hand, they're a little bit more difficult to get rid of because they get smart. They learn. I mean, the only thing I do not suggest is trapping them and moving them to a different location, because you can actually get in trouble with that with the Department of Natural Resources, because you're transporting a live animal. They don't like that because you can be transporting one that could be infected with a disease to another location. So that's why they do not allow transportation of live fur-bearing animals. Base jumping squirrels, yeah. Believe it or not, yeah, like I said, it scares the crap out of them, and they do jump, and it's kind of funny. Yeah, like I said, with the rats and mice, usually you got to go after them. Yes, like I said, yeah, you can actually get permits through your Department of Natural Resources, and you can actually get a permit to remove a um, destructive animal. But you got to prove that it's doing damage to your garden or your infrastructure of your home or anything like that. Yes, like I said, Johnny, what he says right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, you can actually put up if you have to for the vermin. It's going to be a little bit harder to do. You can put out a small bait station, a small little area. You don't need a whole lot to get rid of the mice and the rats because they're always going to be out there. You can use trail cameras, help keep an eye so you can identify what it is. Yeah, like I said, you get the that one there. But eventually, you can only shoot so many of those before they break when they hit something. So you got to hit something kind of soft, especially with arrows. Like I said you can use a believe it or not, you can actually use a Red Ryder BB gun to actually shoot those little saws, and they will ring pretty good. And they'll ring for a few seconds, and that usually gets their attention, and it usually scares them off. You can run down to the big box store. You can pick up a break barrel air rifle. Those may have significant more power than a Red Ryder BB gun. Yeah, but you got to remember where you're at. Like I said, now you actually have to go out into yeah, okay, yeah, 3 deer targets, yeah. So what I suggest is you learn how to even become accurate with the break barrel, because that does take time. You know, if you do have to go to get rid of the animal, make sure it's quick, extremely quick. Okay, we don't want to wound it and running off. Like I said, I try to deter as much as I can, is what we all should do. Another thing you can do is a baseball, you know even having a dog, just enough to get out there and just bark at them. We'll usually send them scurrying off as well. And you get a ball, toss it out there. A dog goes out there and smells little animals. It usually starts barking, unless it's a skunk. Don't do that with your dog and a skunk. You'll smell it for about a week inside the house because your dog got sprayed. Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, with the squirrels and all that, the skunk oil does not really work. Like I said I've heard people putting out little garlic vials out there to kind of help deter them from getting in there. Uh, you can also use like a fox urine, or you can use a bobcat urine. Sprinkle it up around there, and that'll help keep some of the stuff away. I mean, like I said, if there's anybody else in the chat that would want to say something that you have used in the past. It's a small air horn, yes. But let's say these are things that you're going to have to be home to do. Another thing you can do is they also have little speakers that detect, just like the water sprinklers that have the sensor on there. You can also do that. That creates a large boom, some sound, something kind of like to help deter them, stuff like that. Like I said, we want to try to deter them first, then lethal last. Because remember, one day they might be our future food, and we might have to depend upon them. Those are not designed to be outside calling. Yeah, like I said, you want something that's going to be outside use. Anybody else has anything that they've used? I was hoping I get more people in here. And like I said, just waiting for everybody else to pop in. I mean, like I said, there's no idea or anything that that you can write off. You can always try it. Talk around. What has other people have done? Frogs do the same thing. But yeah, what else can we also use? That's basically what I use. I just use something loud at all first. Something, the sharp noise deters them for a while. But eventually they do come back, and you just do it again. Unfortunately, you do have to be there. Like I said again, you get the scarecrows. However, you gotta move them around every day or every other day. You gotta move them around. Yeah, that's kind of expensive. I'm trying to think of something a little bit less expensive. Like I said, you can pick up these saws, from anywhere that whoever you might know that might have them. Uh, a lot of people have, a skill saw. Save your old blades. You can hang them up. Eventually they'll rust, but they'll always make that ringing sound. You can even use a small piece of metal wherever you can get it. Yes, Colin, I know it was an idea. Hi, Blake. How you doing? Yeah, old pipe hands. Yeah, you can do that. Like I said, you can use old pots and pans. They got that hole in the handle. You can hang them up. Just make sure that you're not going to be using it for cooking anymore. Don't go grab the wife's best cooking utensil and hang it up out there. She will get mad. Like I said, you can use old cracked cast iron skillets. Uh, Anything that'll make a loud noise when you hit it. Yes, I already said that, Colin. Let's see. You can also use. You can actually buy little spinners too as well that you can put on a tree. You can also put little traps. They say these little traps are 4 inches by. Here, we'll hold these here. These little 5 inch by 5 inch targets. So you can use these little. They have little traps that these actually slide into, so they'll actually catch the pellet, keep it out of your soil as much as possible, and they'll actually capture the pellet. And you just shoot inside of the trap. You don't have to put up the. Yeah, don't let the wife get mad at you. So yeah, so you don't have to keep this up there unless you want to, because it'll get wet from the rain, from the dew, and it'll eventually fall off. Like I said, but when you shoot that pellet, it makes a lot of noise. And some of the pellets actually have a little spinner inside of them that you can actually hit and get it to spin. Some of them are going to be magnetic, so you knock it down, reset it, you can do that, which are quite fun. And those are usually under $50. All you need is a nail or a screw. You put it on the tree, and you can hang it on the tree. You can hang it on a post. You can get several of them and put them at different distances. So whenever they are in the garden, you can shoot, one target on that side of the garden, one on that side of the garden, one on the far corner, one up close. And it's also good marksman skills to keep up on, especially when you only take one shot. So make that shot count. Become a better marksman. And like I said, you can also use something you throw at something at a something that'll just make a lot of noise. No, you don't want it. Yeah, still they'll bring the predators in. That's the whole problem that you don't want. And when you use the predator calls, those are usually bring in the animals you don't want, because they're supposed to draw them in, not force them away. So you're trading one problem for another one, Colin. So be careful with that. Like lions. Like I said, there's all kinds of stuff. Like I said, I'm just wondering if anybody else in the chat has tried something that I might not know about. Like I said, you can actually go online and you can actually buy lion and tiger urine, believe it or not, or wolf urine, and you can squirt that in the corners of the garden. Now, every time you water or the water comes on, if you're sprinkling or if it rains, you got to go out there and reapply. Like I said, for every thing you have at your disposal, there will be a counter. So having several different methods is a big plus. So you can always change your tactics. Yeah, and so you don't want to draw in the coyotes. You can actually use bobcat urine. That will keep like the squirrels and the mice and the rats out. Again, you might draw in a bobcat to try and mark its territory, but the bobcat's not going to eat your garden. We're talking about the ones that want to eat your garden. Yeah, so we're talking mostly the rodents and also the deer. Oh yeah, like I said, we have very few mountain lions here as well. But yeah, like I said, you can go online. You can buy their scat. You can buy their urine, and you can just sprinkle it around. There's many different ways. I just don't know them all. Yeah, like I said, even having a barking dog. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, let the dog bark all at once. Problem is, when you're in the city, the dog sees a cat or a squirrel on the fence, they're going to run over and bark at it. Except for that one, he doesn't bark at squirrels. I have not seen him once go chase a squirrel. I find it disappointing. And they're in the yard. Yeah, like I said, and it's also the same thing. Like I said, you'll get birds coming in, and uh, birds are a little bit different. You can get netting to cover up your vegetables to keep the birds from getting in there. However, the birds can also get caught in that net, so you got to be paying close attention to of all your netting as well. Like I said, whenever there's something you can deploy, there's a there's a counter to it. Like I said, so I'm not going to do the insect thing. I'm not going to do all that. This is all vermin that wants to come in and eat your garden, such as birds, squirrels, rats, mice. Like I said, especially with some of these larger cities, they do have a lot of rodents that like to get in there in somebody's garden and ravage it. Not so much like rabbits out in the rural areas. So depending on where you're at, the problem changes. So you also got to know what animal that you're also dealing with as well. Yeah, but they're not going to come in there and eat your garden, Colin. Yeah, so those things I'm kind of interested in. If you want to, if anybody watches this a little bit later on, go ahead and put a comment in afterwards in the comments below and explain what you use and how you do it. Yeah, so there's many different kinds of methods. We want to try and get some of these methods out there that a lot of people don't quite understand how it's done. Uh, so if you guys can explain it, in the description below, that would be extremely helpful for other people who read it later on. I said, who knows? I might just go ahead and you know do a couple of videos on how to do that because that's something I cannot do on a live stream. Okay, um, YouTube frowns upon that. So I just might go ahead and do a few of those, so you guys can hear the ring of the saw blades, different types of targets. I mean, you can even hit an old piece of wood that's going to be extremely hard, like a teak or oak. It's been hardened over time, and it makes that wood sound like a hammer and a nail. Sometimes just that sharp noise right there will get your attention. Let's see. uh, so old pots and pans, stuff like that. So I'm hoping everybody has something they can chime in the chat below. So, like I said, after this video, put something up there so somebody can read. You can converse back and forth with the comments. So keep those comments coming. Like I said, and there's also the traps for the underground stuff. Unfortunately, those you will have to be lethal with. Yes, you can actually play music with them. Yes, it's kind of funny. Like I said, believe it or not, you can actually run down to your big box store or wherever you go. Yeah, I need to set up a poll. Problem is, nobody reads them. Or a clicking sound. Oh yeah, you can do almost anything. Like I said, most of the times you're going to have to be there to actually implement the sound to draw them off. Yeah, they also make air cannons, which just do a big giant belch of air or a horn on a timer during daylight hours. Well, actually, some people don't like them because it scares them really bad because the noise is not on a set schedule. It's just on a random timer. Those are a bit on the expensive side, and they are loud. Yeah, they're meant for like orchards, stuff like that, to try and keep the birds out of them. Oh yeah, I mentioned that before. They got the sprinklers, but they actually have to get close enough to actually trip off the sensor. And usually the motion sensors are not set for something squirrel size or smaller unless they get really close. I mean, it'll detect a cat, it'll detect a dog a little bit further away. It'll detect you, and then you get wet. In the summertime, that's not a bad thing. I said, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do. But, my thing is, I don't want to use lethal until it is absolutely necessary. And oh, by the way, if you watch the squirrels long enough, you will notice the difference between each one. Like I said, they don't all look the same. There's subtle differences you can actually see in them, and also the way they act. And and if you wanted to, you can name them if you wanted to. And let's see what else is there. There's like I said, yeah. After a while, you can actually distinct each squirrel from each other. It's kind of weird, but if you sit there long enough, you can tell them apart. Just by certain shades of the red and the gray, stuff like that. One might have a bite out of an ear, a little tuft of hair that's missing, certain scars. You'll learn. It's actually quite interesting to actually watch them. I both like and hate squirrels at the same time. As some of the squirrels from around the world are extremely beautiful. Like the grays. The grays are destructive. The ground squirrels are destructive, but yet they're still neat and easily entertained to watch. So just to watch them sit there and think, solving problems, it's actually quite interesting. Sometimes it's extremely entertaining to watch them trying to figure something out. So, that could be also a deterrent. Let them try to figure something out. Set something off to the edge of the garden where they can mess with that, but not in the garden. So they'll actually learn, hey, that area is safe. But if I cross this line here or this little fenced-in area and you scare them away from there, they'll actually learn that, believe it or not. Yeah, squirrels are smart. And rats are smart too. Mice, not so smart. Same thing with raccoons. Raccoons are smart. So if you get something that's, if you want to plant something, like I said, I have enough room where I can plant something, 50, 60 yards away, leave that for them, keep my stuff a little bit closer. That's a good deterrent for keeping the vermin out of the garden as well. Keep them in that area over there, if at all possible. So usually you can use the airsoft as the second to last resort, because that's when you can make sure you hit them not in the head. Make sure you lower body. You can skip it off the ground, have it come up and hit them up from underneath. That'll take a lot of the energy out of it too as well. It's just enough to hit them and scare them. I used to do that with the cats where I used to live. I'd skip it off the ground and come up and hit them from underneath. As soon as it hits the ground, it loses almost all of its energy. I said, I didn't want to hurt them. I just wanted to scare them away. And I think I had more fun with that. Oh, geez. Look who's come for dinner. So I was just wondering if anybody else had anything else to add in there. Please add it to the comments below after the live stream, if all possible. I'll try and get that algorithm going. It will be helpful quite a bit. And also, please, if you like this kind of content, subscribe. It's free. And we can also share information. I mean, sharing information is free, guys. What else is there? Oh, yeah, you can actually put out pop cans, too, if you want to, and hang them from a tree. You can also use old CDs that are kind of ruined. You can hang them from a tree with with fishing line. As it flashes in the sun, it also helps discourage birds as well. Even though it might draw a bobcat in the middle of the night when the moon is out. But other than that, the bobcat's not going to eat your vegetables. If you have chickens and something else, that's when you don't want to do that, because we don't want them drawn in and finding, yes, Nerf gun or airsoft. Little plastic 6mm BBs. I would reach up and grab and show you guys one, but that would get me in trouble. So yeah, they make all kinds of ones for airsoft. Their spring-loaded pistols will work just good. They're inexpensive. They're cheap. They're under $25. If you wanted to go something that's a little bit more accurate, then you're going to have to pay a little bit more. And always remember, the Super Soaker, you can do that. The airsoft BBs, you can purchase biodegradable airsoft BBs, which will break down after a few years. And just basically return to the soil, because they use like a clay type substance. I mean, you can actually get what looks like a sniper rifle. That's good for about 100 yards. Remember, that's sending that BB pretty fast. It's sending it about 420 feet per second, 20 grams. It's moving quite a bit, so that's something you don't want to hit them with up close. Skip it off the ground, skip it off something, hit a steel target, like a saw blade. That'll actually make noise, believe it or not. So remember, we don't want to hurt them if we don't have to. We just want to chase them away. And who knows? When it becomes season for harvesting, hey. The gel blaster kills weeds in the garden. Yeah, it makes you wonder what those gels are actually made out of, doesn't it? I do know in off subject, in Hawaii, they actually use Roundup in the paintballs. a little 58 millimeter paintball balls. They'll actually fill those with Roundup and actually shoot them at the crown of certain plants and try and actually kill that plant without having to go up there and actually go after the plant. Yeah, it might not be non-toxic. Yeah, we don't know that. I don't know what they're using for those little gellets. I mean, if you have a paintball gun, yeah, you can use one of those. The problem is once you crack that seal, you've cracked that seal. So you got to be careful what you're using. Like I said on the thumbnail, that is actually a CO2 rifle. It takes 2 cartridges or 1 cartridge and one used one. You get less than half the shots. Now it works, but once you pierce that capsule, you got to use it. They are biodegradable, but yet they're killing the weeds, huh? Yeah, I know they're non-toxic. They're supposed to be non-toxic and biodegradable. They claim that it is. I'm not sure. That's not something I have looked into. I mean, I can understand if you got a whole bunch of them and you drop them somewhere that can suffocate the plant. I can understand that. Also, they'll probably draw the moisture out of the soil too, as well. All right, guys. Anybody else has anything that can help deter squirrels from getting in your garden, or rodents, I should say, the vermin? Without having to use lethal force. Something just to scare them away. I would like to know what other people have done. I do know they use certain chemicals in the garden that's offensive to certain animals, and they don't want to be around it. However, I've seen some of those, and those are not cheap. Uh, no, for oh, and by the way, if you're going to use lethal traps, make sure those traps are in a box. Please make sure they're in a box and they actually contained. You do not want to get rid of a non-specific species. Okay, like I said, I've seen people put out rat traps, mouse traps of different kinds, and actually accidentally kill a yellow speckled bellied woodpecker, right? Something that was endangered. We don't want that happening. All right, so make sure you actually have a box where the rodents have to go into and actually trip the trap. So, and then again, you need to check those daily. To find annoying music, all you have to do is just make a quick, loud sound. And usually that will send them running. And you can also do, loud machine gun noises off of a speaker for, just a few seconds. That might do it. There's always something out there that somebody has tried that I might not know about. And if we can share that information, it'd be Carol Canning. Let's see. Just like I said, I was just somebody out there has done something and probably hasn't told anybody about it. This is a good time to share it. Phyllis Diller, yeah, singing. Yeah, you can actually play, voices out in the garden. Somebody walking around on the speakers. That might be helpful, but again, you need to have the power. You need to pay for the speakers, and it's got to be outdoor speakers, something that can handle the weather and the sun. So yeah, I mean that's a pretty expensive infrastructure. So yeah, something that's inexpensive, something you can have fun with. Garden party noises, like flowers blooming. Uh, like I said, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do. I just haven't explored them all yet, and I would like to learn more what somebody else has done. Because, like I said, most of the time it's. Yes, I know. Have you seen the price on those speakers, Colin? They're not cheap. Now, if you want to just have it out there, just blaring away when you're out there working in the garden, that's one thing too. You can use it for that as well. Like I said, yeah, they got those little nice little rock speakers. They got the speakers that look like a stump. Uh, the cheapest I've ever seen those is like $80 each. They're good sized speakers, about yay big. That's $80, and those are the ones that are wired, not wireless. Uh, Hi, Cecilia. I'm about ready to end here, so here in just a few moments. This is just the first one I do on Wednesdays, and then I do another one at 8 o'clock. That's when I have my, just my regular chat room. Usually on Wednesdays, I'm starting to do is at 7 o'clock. I am doing um, my my forum, as you might want to say. Somebody come in here, they can chat, and we can all learn something. This is gonna be my educational hour, as you might want to say. So don't forget, at 8 o'clock, I also have my regular chat room. And that's when I'm gonna have up with everybody up on the screen, with the panel and everything else. And speaking of that, my time is now coming up here in about a couple of minutes. I'm going to try and keep these within 45 minutes. So everybody gets a chance to actually stop and watch this as something that's 2 hours long, 3 hours long. All right. With that, folks, now it is now 45 minutes. I want to try and keep it right around that 45 minutes. So once this has done aired, go ahead and go back to the comments and put in some of your other comments, please, and try and get carry on some conversations so we can learn from somebody else. Alrighty. With that, I'll catch everybody on the next episode, and don't forget to get out there and slap a rat.